Alright guys, welcome to the live stream, welcome, and today we are going to be continuing our political process game in which we are now a senator of Texas, and so today we are going to pass some legislation, see what we can do, and I just got called by, I don't know if anyone else is familiar with the scam or not. If you ever get a call from someone saying they're from like solar energy advocates or something like that, like someone tell me if you've been getting those calls, because I have been getting those calls, and I basically got a call a couple minutes ago, and the guy was literally just like, hey, I'm calling from solar advocates, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, hey, I've gotten your call like so many times, please stop calling me. And I used a little bit more colorful language, but then he was like, alright, you're gonna be getting a call from the police very soon. I'm just like, alright, cool. So, honestly, I'm kind of not really hoping for it, but also kind of hoping for it, so it's kind of funny. Alright, let's see what we can do. Phone reminder telling me to do... What is this? This all kind of looks different. This actually does look a little different. Social Security? Tax policy? Tax policy, okay. Earned income tax credit. I've never seen... Maybe he separated that. Looks like there's nothing new there. Health resources. Maybe that was there before. I don't know. Am I getting something wrong? Have I not played this in a while? I don't know. It kind of looks different, but also doesn't. What about police PG? What do you do? I told the solar energy advocates to literally just be like, hey, I just keep getting these calls from these solar advocate people, and they're just like trying to sell me like different like solar energy, and then they're just like, all right, if you don't take our services, we're gonna call the police on you. But we keep calling, so it's like just stupid. All right, let's see what we can do. Let's go ahead and eliminate the $3.6 billion federal prison expenditure for sentencing drug criminals, because again, as I said in my previous video, I actually think that it is more of a health issue than an actual criminal issue. So we're going to do what we can to help these people out. Looks like the president does oppose that piece of legislation. President Archibald Barron. President Barron, okay, that's interesting. All right, let's go over to drug criminal lengths, and let's go ahead and support that legislation. 15-6, even Republicans came over and crossed the aisle to get it out of committee, so let's go to the floor vote for it. President still opposes it, even as it enters the floor of the Senate. I think I said the House floor, but I meant to say Senate. Let's go ahead and support it. 78-22. We actually might be able to, if it passes by the same margin in the House of Representatives, we actually might be able to get that 3/5 majority. So let's hope that it actually does pass the House of Representatives. Yep, 36-3 in the House of Representatives. And then defense appropriations. Let's look at you. Since it's by a Republican, we could actually... Oh, that actually probably hurt me. Alright, next day. Wow, 386-49, and it will definitely override that presidential veto as we face it right now. Let's go to the next day. And President Barron has vetoed your bill, Senate Bill 7, but the Congressional majority has overruled that veto. The bill has now become law. So... because we passed that bill with such a big majority in both houses, we definitely got one of the biggest consensuses for bipartisan legislation. So that means that both parties actually did want that piece of the legislation to pass, enough that they wanted to override that presidential veto. I wish there was actually an option, instead of it basically only if the Congress basically passes it with that 3/5 majority. I wish that there would be like a second vote on it to override the veto. Maybe it could be its own feature within itself. That would actually be really cool. Today is also my state's gubernatorial debate. Which state would that be, actually? Commerce, Science, and Justice. Let's go ahead and look at you. Want to cut about, looks like about $1 billion from it. Let's go ahead and approve it, I guess. Republican from Alaska, David Kinsley. And this provides funding related to commerce, criminal justice, and the sciences. $100,000 to $200,000 every other day, or every other week. Yesterday was the Arizona Senate debate. Yeah, I actually did watch a little bit of it. I actually really did like Mark Kelly's performance. It was interesting. Mark Kelly, I believe, is going to win that Senate race, even if it does flip the Senate. Honestly, in my opinion, I believe that it is a very good addition that we're gonna get actual Senate scientists, people who have actually been to space, in the Senate. So that's going to be really interesting to see Mark Kelly and see what he actually pushes for. He does say that he supports things such as the public option, which honestly is the best option that we probably would want to look at, that wouldn't raise prices on certain, basically public option, I believe, is one of the cheapest options, but also one of the other options in which, like, it's not gonna cost the government that much. Labor, Health, and Sciences, $2.2 trillion. Let's go ahead and ask for an amendment to be created. Income security category, $1.04 trillion is going into Social Security, $16.4 billion is going into TANF, and the Office of Workers' Compensation, or the Federal Disability Insurance, has $2.1 billion going into it. Health category, with correlation to Medicare and Medicaid, $715 billion to Medicare, $311 billion to Medicaid, and then education, we are looking at about $14.7 billion for education funding for the economically disadvantaged, $9.4 billion for a free preschool for economically disadvantaged, $16.09 billion for higher education grants, and then Student Aid Administration has $740 million going into that. And in social services category, foster care is costing the federal government $8.1 billion. Funding for school improvement, let's go ahead and, this is going to be a little bit, let's see what we're looking at right here. We're going to have to cut costs to a couple of different things if we want to increase. We could actually ask for an additional $200 million into the CDC. Let's go ahead and slide that up to $700 million. And then what can we cut? Because that means we have to cut about $200 million from something else. We could cut it from impact aid grants. Those are basically schools that cannot tax their land. There's no way for them to actually collect property taxes because they are on federal land. So in turn, the federal government basically gives them enough money to actually be able to go through to overcome their funding deficits. Some school districts are eligible for impact grants are school districts found on Native American reservations. A lot of them in Oklahoma would definitely be, which actually, since in Oklahoma, there was actually a Supreme Court decision that just came down a couple weeks ago, and that basically said that Oklahoma, about half of Oklahoma's land is actually Native American reservations. So that means that possibly I'm actually going to try to pay attention to this. That means that the federal spending on impact aid grants would basically be going to half of Oklahoma, because I believe that probably will mean that a lot of those cities and schools are not going to be able to collect any more property taxes as of then. So if anyone knows anything about that, please go ahead and let me know. Depends. We talked about this last night. The GOP could have low enthusiasm. Honestly, Trump's enthusiasm is pretty large. Enthusiasm just seems to be a little more on the Trump side than the actual than on the other side, I believe. Funding for health and resources and services. So CDC gets $200 million, and I guess we cut a couple of $1 million. Go ahead and put that at $6.1 billion. And then see if we can put... Nope, looks like we can't. There we go. All right, let's go ahead and throw that into there, and then let's see what that what happens to that. It's total of $200 million increase, but it looks like that has been shot down. Enough Democrats actually didn't want to vote for that, even if it was a spending increase. PV for this election will be like 51-45 for Trump, or for Biden. Excuse me. GOP will win the Senate and the House. Okay, I'm going to say the Senate could definitely go over to the Republicans, but the House is going to be a very much harder feat. Presidency, I honestly, in my gut, I really do believe that that Donald Trump will win this election by a very slim margin, possibly. This is our transportation budget. The mandatory expenditures for that is going to be the housing and urban development category, which means that public housing programs are costing the federal government $18.4 billion. So let's go and see what else we can actually mess with. Department of Housing and Urban Development administrative costs. City administration is definitely... This is actually the way you actually get your categories to go up in approval. So if you actually ever increase this, if you decrease it, you're probably not going to be able to do... your department basically is not going to be that effective. But if you increase these fundings, then the effectiveness of that department will actually go up. Department of Transportation administrative costs, same thing. $3.5 billion is costing us in administrative costs. Office of Lead Hazard Control and Healthy Homes provides funding for that office, which works to control and eliminate health issues related to exposure to lead-based paint. Let's go ahead and increase that, actually. Let's go ahead and give that full funding. We can actually fund that. So our budget limit for our transportation sector... Our budget limit for housing and urban development is going to be $44.61 billion. And then it looks like we are actually spending $42 billion. So we can actually add about $2.4 billion into housing and urban development. So that could actually be something we can do. Agency requests. Let's go ahead and look at some agency requests. Funding for permanent housing, the agency requested $12.3 billion. The president requested $10.4 billion, and then the last budget that they got was about $2.2 billion under budget. We could actually put it up there, $10.5 billion. Funding for community development programs, let's go ahead and give them about $300 million extra. Their agency requested $10.5 billion, actually. Funding for energy assistance programs, about $2.9 billion. Let's go ahead and give them $3.1 billion. We're maxing out the hazard control and healthy homes division. And then FAA, let's go ahead and give you... No. Okay, where am I? That's homes. Let's reduce that just to correct the limits, because we do obviously have limits. So this is basically the amount of money that I can actually spend, and then this is the amount of money that is actually on the budget. Let's go ahead and send that over to the House or the Senate, and then support that piece of legislation. 17 people voted for our legislation, only one Republican, which was me. Let's actually see who voted for it. Violeta Buganza from California, Delaware, Massachusetts, New Mexico, Rhode Island, Virginia, Vermont, Delaware, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Virginia, both senators of Virginia, actually. and both senators of Delaware, and it looks like only one California senator actually voted for it. Hawaii, New York, Oregon, Vermont again, and Washington, and then Texas. So that was just for about almost $1 billion increase in the transportation sector. But looks like Congress does not want to do that, so we're going to go ahead and ignore it. Minimum wage hearing, and let's see what happens. $7.25 to $10. We could actually support that. The recent study suggested that an increase in minimum wage results in an increase in worker earnings without decreasing job growth. There was even an indication that job growth improved when the minimum wage was increased. This particular study was limited to local city-level minimum wage increases and focused on the effect to the food industry. The results may not scale to the state or federal level and may affect different industries differently. So that's actually one thing about it. The current minimum wage is too low. I support this legislation. Looks like Republicans will actually support it. Definitely Democratic support will be coming toward it, except the minimum wage should be a living minimum wage. I'll support or oppose this legislation in the upcoming votes. Basically, she's saying that it might not be enough to actually help those in need. So let's go ahead and go over to the committee hearing and see what happens. Ana Sofia Vasquez, from our esteemed senator from California. A minimum wage is the lowest hourly wage that an employer is permitted to pay an employee. The intention of the minimum wage is to reduce poverty. So this goes from $7.25 to $10 federally. Let's go ahead and say no to an amendment and then just vote for the legislation in its entirety. 18 people voted for it. 5 Republicans opposed it. That was Lawrence Schmidt, Madeline McCoy, Ivan Cantu, Justina Dickerson, and then Burt Wheel. And I actually joined a couple of Republicans, including Columbus George, Justin Gottlieb, Valentine O'Neill, that's how you say that last name, Susan Mitchell, Sawyer Antoni, Aubrey Hackett, Edmund Holland, and then myself, Sean Irwin, all people who voted in favor of this, 18-5, and then let's see what happens whenever it actually goes to a Senate vote. Floor debate, there's an amendment, apparently. 794, I think that's below, no, that's still above, but let's go ahead and oppose it. 55-45, we joined a couple of Republicans, most likely the moderates, but the actual Republicans probably are upset. But I actually still do have a lot of approval. Moderate Republicans like me 62%, Libertarians like me 87%, even though we only have 3 Libertarians in the Senate, and then a Republican conservative committee. I only have 12 out of 38 of those in the Senate on my side, and I have an approval rating of 32% among them. And then my relationship is 92% with the actual conservative committee, and then I actually do have influence over basically all of my House colleagues, 100% influence over them. Relationship with the Democrats is 12%. Relationship with the moderate Democratic coalition, or the conservative Democrats, actually have an approval rating of 12% with me. Moderate Democratic coalition, 37%, and then same thing with progressive Democrats. Obviously, the progressive Democrats are probably not going to like me. Moderate Democratic coalition, I could probably get a couple of things passed with them, and then conservative Democrats, possibly even more likely than that. So let's go ahead and support that piece of legislation. 70-30. Only 30 people opposed it. Let's see if my colleague from Texas actually did. Halagawa obviously did oppose that piece of legislation, but I was one of the biggest people that could have actually supported it. Obviously, a senator from Texas supporting something like that is definitely going to get something passed. PG, when are you coming out with Power and Revolution? I just recorded a brand new series, and I'm going to be making an intro for it. So once I actually make the intro for that, the first episode of that new series that I'm making for Power and Revolution, I will release it. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get that done within the next couple of days. Doesn't take me that long to actually... make an intro, and this intro is going to be very fun to make, so I cannot wait to release this episode. Looking at the crap that's going on in the chat. It's funny. Demo for I Am Your President is out. Should I try it out? Should I try out I Am Your President? Because I actually tried to ask the guy for a code upon the release of the game, but he was just basically like, nah. Doesn't really seem that interested in wanting to do something. Senator Haloga will not seek re-election. If you run in this election, you have a good chance of winning. Obviously, why the heck am I going to run for Class 2 whenever I'm already Class 1? Presidency is going to be happening this year. The state Senate, the state House, and then U.S. House will be up for grabs in this new election year. So we're approaching the 2020 election. It's going to be fun. Definitely support those, the person running for, whoever runs for the Class 2 position, I'm definitely going to support. Let's go ahead and check over some of the balance of power that we actually have. Politicians, federal. Let's go to House. So the House is now controlled by the Democrats, 241 majority to 194. It sounds about right to what it is right now. The Senate-wise, we have 56 Republicans in the Senate and then 44 Democrats in the Senate. Honestly, the House seems more likely to shift Democratic, while the Senate is actually more likely to shift Republican. And it's basically more... It's kind of interesting to see this, because you always end up with more of a split Senate, a split Congress, more often than not, from what I've noticed, because, I mean... Yeah, the Senate hasn't even flipped power-wise since the inception of the game. So since I started this game, we have not seen a Democratic Senate. So it's interesting to see. My seat is definitely not gonna switch anytime soon, as long as I campaign the way that I do. Wheel tax decreases rate from $70 to $19.33. Elimination of the Professional Development Workshop Program, and that sucks. Federal laws taking effect this year. Senate Bill 7, federal prison sentence lengths for drug criminals decreases from 3 years to 0 years. So basically these guys just get a slap on the wrist and then get thrown out of jail. Minimum wage goes up from $7.25 to $10, all because of me. So thank you, Mr. Irwin, for Senator. Thank you, Senator Irwin, for getting these things passed and making this country better. Vote and budget resolution. Let's look at you, Republican Connor Morozov from North Carolina. Decrease of $151 billion. I had to read that again and see if that was a billion, but yes, that is a decrease of revenue for $151 billion in this next budget resolution. Authorized expenditure is decreasing $141 billion, so that's $3.7 billion to $3.6 billion. Definitely gonna throw that over the ring. 57 to 43. Awesome, awesome, awesome. See if that passes the House. Probably gonna come back over to us for the conference report, which it does. No changes to law, but authorized revenue $3.9 trillion, and then authorized expenditure $3.8 trillion. So let's go ahead and support it. Does not pass the Senate. 48 to 52. Couple Republicans actually crossed the aisle to actually support it. In the event of that, that would basically declare a government shutdown on week 5 of 2020. But that feature is not in the game yet, so we would right now be in the midst of an actual government shutdown. The federal government would basically essentially be shut down at this point because we did not pass that budget resolution. So I think the budget resolution has to come back again, start again from the House, and then make its way through the House, go through the Senate, go through, and then get on the president's desk. Actually, it does not go to the president. Budget resolutions are only passed by Congress. Grants for low-income school districts. 100% and 98.5%. We could actually pass that since it's not that much of a decrease. You want to create an amendment for the legislation? Let's say no, and then let's support this legislation. 13 to 10 passes the thing in the committee. It passes the committee. Can't even think right now. I don't know why. 58 to 56, let's say no to an amendment and then pass it as is. Well, let's go ahead and support that amendment. 45 to 55. I was the only Republican to actually cross that aisle. to support it. Let's go ahead and support it again. 56 to 44 definitely passes the Senate. We wouldn't have made that much of a difference. Well, actually, I can. I think I have the political power to do so. Grants for low-income school districts, and then let's go ahead and support it as well. 57 to 43. Even one Democrat actually came over to support it. Let's see who that Democrat was. That would be Chip McDoles from the state of Oregon. Oregon, really? Chip Doles. Let's go ahead and try to check on him. He's a Democrat from Oregon, not even a conservative state. So don't know why he would have to be making those kind of decisions. And those who are watching right now, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to see more Power and Revolution or political process content, please just hit that bell notification icon and hit the like button. If you guys are longtime supporters of my channel, definitely becoming a member is the recommended option. Definitely want to get my channel to have more members, more people that are actually around the Discord, people who are actually active on this game. Or on my YouTube, chatting, basically. Having more members definitely would help my channel grow. You can join for as low as basically $1.99, I think is the lowest one. So one thing I really want to do is basically kind of like have a group of people. Not only can I do like live streams with, I can actually do, you know, games with and all that. Basically, I wanted to do not really the member thing, but also on Discord, just anyone who's really active. I really want to make kind of like a gaming group, I guess. That'd be fun, honestly. $272,000 off of this next quarter. Awesome. We're gonna have plenty of money come campaign time, which next campaign time, that's gonna be 2024, actually, not 2022. It's going to be 2024. So we got 4 years left in our term. Running elections, so then we start now, so we can just go ahead and start getting that fundraiser. We can do fundraiser and then attending these rallies. So we're basically just going to try to keep turnout very high in the state of Texas. So let's just do all of this. Texas 13, 23, and a 31. Definitely going to do it if I see Texas 26. Aha, Joshua Hamilton is the representative from Texas 26, so definitely going to do a rally with him. Let's see what he is beforehand. I really enjoy these kind of events where I can get to know other politicians in my party. You receive 25 political points for supporting a member of your party, and then voter turnout increased by 513 voters. Total turnout is going to be 32,673. And then this guy was a title clerk from 1974 to 1978, legal advisor from 78 to 87. He was a regulatory lawyer from 87 to 89, a law firm partner from 89 to 99, and then a state senator from 99 to 2003. He was a House Majority Leader. Hang on, wait. Okay, so he got elected, sounds exactly like my representative, actually. My representative that is actually for Texas 26, he got elected in 2003, so that's actually really interesting. He was the House Minority Leader from 2019, so he's the House Minority Leader now. Oh, this guy is the biggest guy in the House. House Majority Leader from 2015 to 2019, and then now House Minority Leader. Texas 26 is the House Minority Leader. That is, I'm definitely going to follow that guy. Let's go over to politicians. Let's go to House. Let's go over to politicians. Joshua Hamilton. Texas 26, add to favorites. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Definitely going to be following this guy. We have more political points than him, though, so we would... If we actually went over to the House, we would be a leader. So I could actually go over to the House. Republican Conservative Committee. Yeah, I would be the chairperson of the Republican Conservative Committee in the House. So I could. No, I mean 2020. It's already too late. I have to wait until 2022. So that is something. I'm gonna just say, like, If you guys are gonna have, like a discussion about, you know, policing and all that, just keep it moderate. Don't don't be an ass, I guess. Like, don't tell people to go away. Don't be just sitting there saying hashtag Blue Lives Matter just because you want to say Blue Lives Matter. Like, you can have your positions on cops and all that without being a douchebag, basically. So that's, I'm just gonna say that. I can replace this person, actually. Alright, $10 rallies. Let's go ahead and shoot for about 50,000 to 100,000 turnout. Since we're getting about 5,000 voters per turn. 5,000, yeah, I think we're going to be able to hit 100,000 throughout the state of Texas by election day, or election week, basically. Not really doing that much fundraising right now. $135,000, nice. 99,000, 96,000, and 102,000. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's go ahead and do it a couple more times. We're gonna do 125,000, and I think I'm gonna fundraise the entire time. Fundraise 203,000. Attend the rallies that we can. So then 130,000. Attend the rallies we can. 44 and then 45. Let's go ahead and watch the presidential election. All right. North Carolina goes blue. Nope. Ohio goes blue. Yep. Republicans are. Archibald Barron's probably gonna lose. If he loses the Rust Belt, then okay, he lost Pennsylvania. He lost Colorado. He lost Michigan. He lost Minnesota. Wisconsin, where are you going to go? All right, Democrats are definitely going to win this election. 307 electoral votes is their winning number. 330 electoral votes, 72.8 million votes for the Democratic Breonna Hawk, first female president of the United States. 72.8 million votes to 66.3 million votes. Obviously, we're not going off of the popular vote, even though we could actually do that. Archibald Barron actually lost the state of Florida, which he actually won in the previous election. Breonna Hawk actually won this election without winning the state of Arizona. She did not flip Arizona, but I actually do want to check to see how close Arizona was. So let's go ahead and check the exit polls for the state of Arizona. 3.4 million registered voters with a turnout of 70%. 2.37 million voters actually turned out to vote in this election. Democrats turned out 1.05 million voters, and then the Republicans got almost 200,000 more, got about 150,000 more voters on their side. Even the independent vote wouldn't have made that much of a difference. So it was a pretty clear majority, 52.1 to 47.9. Definite underperforming nature for Breonna Hawk in the state of Arizona. Hopefully, maybe she could actually win it in her next election. So that is going to be something we're going to watch for, see if Arizona actually flips in 2024, if Breonna Hawk actually does run for re-election. Connecticut, how close were you? 54 to 45. Tends to go Republican sometimes. Florida was 50.9 to 49.1. Who made the difference here? 140,000 Democrats actually voted for the Republican, while 169,000 Republicans actually voted for the Democrat. So that's interesting. So got more party line votes to actually kind of flip in the state of Florida. 280,000 independent voters voted for Breonna Hawk, while 166,000 voted for Archibald Barron. So the independent vote actually kind of swayed the Floridian election. So that's interesting. All right, let's go over to Senate, see what happens to this Senate. Ferdinand Chukwu, Can't say that. I'm really sorry if I'm skewering that name. 5.3 million votes to 3.8 million votes. Wow, 58 to 42 in the state of Texas. This is our Senate election. He actually probably won by a higher margin than me. Looks like a couple of things actually flipped. Colorado flipped to the Democrats. Alicia Gray actually got 50.7% of the vote. 1.45 million voters voted her into office. In Iowa, the Democrats actually flipped the state of Iowa. And then in Maine, the Democratic incumbent actually lost to a Republican. So that was a gain of 2 for the Democrats and then a gain of 1 for the Republicans. So a net gain of 1 for the Democratic Party. That basically leaves the Senate exactly as it was before, 45 to 55. The House of Representatives might be showing a different story. Daniel Day looks like our congressional representative. Well, not our. Texas 22. We have a completely different one. We have District 13. I'm so stupid. Republicans take the House. The Republicans come back and then take the House of Representatives. 223 almost electoral votes. 223 seats to the Republican Party to 212 seats to the Democratic Party. Very slim majority. Look at this little blue wall that we actually have right here, splitting Maine off with the mid-Atlantic states, actually. Looks like there are Republican majority delegations coming in from the states of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin even, Iowa, Arizona. Colorado is actually leaning red. Florida is even tilting red. Let's see what kind of seats were in danger in this one. What happened in Kansas? The Democratic incumbent from District 3 actually lost his election. New Jersey, several districts from New Jersey. That's why we're electing a Republican majority from that delegation. They should add districts in this game like DC and the districts in Maine and Nebraska. Yeah, I would totally be for that. That would be really good. Let's see what happened to Texas governor. Almost 60% of the vote. How did yikes, there was a election here, federal Senate. 5.3 million people voted for the Senate election in Texas, and yet in governor, he only got 3.2 million votes, and he still won Harris County. He loses Dallas and Travis counties, and then loses among all of these border counties, but then still, I don't know what's going on in Harris County. If someone can tell me why Harris County does this in the game, that would solve a couple of issues. So interesting stories coming out. I wish there was also like just like we have with the presidency, where you can actually look at exit polls. I wish there was a county-wide like exit polling, so you could actually find a specific county. Like you could basically track these things down to pivot counties, and then so pivot counties are basically counties in which go whichever way for a president. So these can be more in line with presidency or even governorships. So pivot counties could be a good addition, and then also trying to better simulate some of these bigger counties, especially Harris County. Harris County is not going to be voting red. Sorry, but it's not going to look this red as Texas. I mean, yeah, actually kind of does look this red, except literally Harris County. Literally, just that. Just Harris. State Senate, let's see what happened in the State Senate. Republicans gain 1 seat in the State Senate. In the State House, Republicans gain 1 seat, 95 to 55. Interestingly enough, Lillian Antoni loses her bid for the mayoral election of Wichita Falls. Alyssa Conrad is now the new mayor, 75 to 24. Completely Republican majority city council, and same thing with the school board. Next election is probably going to happen in 2021, I believe. Yeah, 2021 or 2023. I might be off. State abortion laws on week 47. Huh? What the heck's going on? President supports Senate Bill 3. Let's see let's see what happens. Give states the authority to legalize or illegalize abortion. Hey, at least it's giving it over to the states. 11 to 12. Very, very loud. That really split the Republicans. 9 Republicans came out to support it, while 4 Republicans came out to oppose it. Wow. Republicans really tried to stop that. We could have had one more thing. Even if I voted against it, it would have spelled doom. So, wow, state abortion law comes out week 47 in political process. Never seen that happen. Alright, and we are now in the year 2021 after the 2020 election. City wheel tax goes from $19, about $20, to $1.87. Why even have the wheel tax at that point? Drug criminals increases person sentence from 0.01 years to 1.5 years, except our federal law actually overturns that, so... well, no, actually they have different... It goes from locality... federal offenses. So our thing was basically about a federal offense. So a federal drug sentence now basically is eliminated for federal. But you can still sentence people to 1.5 years for drug crimes for localities or even state localities. Isaiah Anderson is running for the Senate party leader. However, I'm going to go ahead and throw my hat into the ring. He is the only one running. 42 to 12, looks like I'm going to go ahead and vote for myself, give myself that 13th vote. 42 to 13, and then Isaiah Anderson now becomes the next Senate party leader. Senate majority leader, actually. Process for caucus chair. Should I run for this one? Yes, I should. I'm going to go ahead and start throwing my hat into these rings for leadership positions so I can go ahead and start taking these things as I should. Still have no support among the caucus, so I'm gonna go ahead and vote for myself. So barely even get that close. Aubrey Hackett got 13 votes, does not become caucus chair, and then Walker Herman becomes the party caucus chair for that, even though he's a libertarian fiscally. So there's the introductions for both of those. We can put ourselves on the... I'm going to go ahead and put myself on the Finance Committee, and then we're going to be on the Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs Committee. Then let's go ahead and do Taxation and IRS Oversight. And then Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs. Let's go ahead and put myself on the Housing, Transportation, and Community Development. This subcommittee has jurisdiction over legislation concerning public housing, homeless assistance, community development grants, rural rent assistance, and energy assistance. And the national security, trade, and finance are unavailable. Securities, insurance, and investment are unavailable. Financial institutions and consumer protection are unavailable, and economic policy are unavailable. So I cannot wait to... I still can't wait to have all of these become a thing. Like, I want them to become a thing. Like, these subcommittees are not here just to look pretty, to basically reflect. I really hope that this guy is planning different policies for all of these different committees. Even if it's like one committee at a time, that would be interesting. It would be fun, and it would do a lot to kind of like bring that replayability back, because there's not that much replayability in this game. A vote and budget resolution. It is by Republican Norris Hutchins from Oklahoma. Looks like it's my boy Republican Gamer from Oklahoma. And this decrease of $535 billion in revenue, but then a decrease of $413 billion in spending. But that gives us even whenever you're cutting so much from the revenue and then so much from the spending, you're still giving yourself a $100 billion deficit. But I'm going to go ahead and support it since it's by a Republican, just so I can get that relationship to stay. Conference report 3.3, 3.3. Whoa, this is actually pretty close, but it actually gives us a surplus, so let's go ahead and vote for it. As long as these things have surpluses, I'm gonna go ahead and just go off of that instead of based off of like their party, maybe, depending on what my thing is. No amendment. Jesus Christ, that's a lot. Let's support the amendment. Oh, we actually did it. We actually got something passed. Awesome. And do you want to support or oppose this legislation? Support. Barely passes. We could have actually... No, that would have tied it, and then that would have still allowed it to pass, because you still need that majority to pass something. So even if it passes, it basically says, okay, if it ties, then we're gonna assume that the vice president is gonna vote in favor of it. Well, actually, since it's a Democratic president, that wouldn't happen, but the game still does it. I don't know whether it actually calculates it among... I don't know if the vice president actually makes a difference. If the vice president actually does make a difference, then that could actually say something. Someone prove me wrong. Have some political process mythbusters going on or something. Foster care, let's go ahead and supports. 53 fails. Foster care, let's supports. 54 to 46. We have committee hearing on Social Security. Increases the eligibility age from 66 to 67. I will actually do that because I encourage everyone to support this legislation. I will vote against this legislation in the upcoming vote. Social Security, let's go ahead and vote on it and say, well, no, I didn't want to do that. Social Security supports 16 to 11, awesome. And then we got amendment opportunities. See, the first couple of weeks are always really busy for you. So that's probably what makes it a little bit playable, is because the first couple of weeks of any session is basically like so freaking busy because everyone's throwing some more bills at the place. Public housing, let's see. Say no to an amendment. Grants for low-income school districts, no to an amendment. And then WIC, no to an amendment. So then we have 3 amendment votes and then 1 actual vote. So let's go ahead and go to the actual vote first. Grants for low-income school districts. Let's support. 57 to 43 goes over to the House. Amendment for this. Let's say oppose. Public housing. Let's say oppose. 13. And then... oppose. Oh, that barely passes. Wait, hang on. So we have a Democratic president introduced by a Democrat, so the Democratic vice president would have voted in favor of that. So then it does pass. So let's pay attention to it whenever it's Republican legislation next time. Rural rent assistance, let's look at you. Let's go ahead and oppose or supports. Well, hang on. Okay, so it ties again. 1 Democrat supported it. 44 Democrats opposed it. 6 Republicans opposed it. 50-50. So then if this is Republican legislation and it ties again, the vice president would have voted against it. At least if it's reflecting anything... I don't know. This basically is now assuming that the vice president actually is voting in favor of this legislation, even though there's not really anything to show what the vice president is actually doing. Let's go ahead and continue. So that basically proved my point. Let's support 13 to 10. And then we go over to WIC, support this decrease, 13 to 10. Still very healthy relationships among the Republicans. Republican Conservative Committee still don't have that many people on my side, even though there are 38 people in the Senate. Oh god, we have more. Vote on legislation. Let's do Social Security. Let's support it. 57 to 43. Awesome. Both chambers of Congress have passed the bill in identical form. The bill will now be sent to the president, so hopefully the president actually does that. One of the biggest things about doing that is as the years go by in this game, you really do actually need to increase, wow, the per capita. I really need to introduce a tax reform. That's what I need to do. Let's look at our taxes. No, let's look at federal. Oh, I was looking at federal. Economy. Nation. Okay, so it's actually going up. It's actually going up. We have 174 million people being employed, 18 million people underemployed, and then 12.3 million people unemployed. Yeah, we really need to lower some taxes. Revenue by source. Let's do public housing. Let's oppose. 56 fails. Public housing. Let's do supports. 5644. 151 to 135. No to an amendment. Got snap. Let's say yes to an amendment since it is snap. Then let's support. It actually does pass. It actually does pass. That's awesome. Vote on legislation, 126 to 120. Let's support. 161 to 39. Gets sent over to the House. They're probably going to skewer it. It's probably going to get sent back to us. 135 to 143. Let's oppose. Higher education grants. Let's oppose. Well, still passes, so that's good. We actually did not vote in along party lines. I just noticed that. We only have 5 influence among the entire Senate. Need-based school lunch program. Reduce, so free lunch eligibility from 275 to 260. Sounds fair. Decreases reduced cost eligibility from 311 to 295. Do you want to create an amendment for this legislation? Let's actually say no and then support it in its current form. Snap comes back to us. I knew it. Goes up from 122 to goes up from 120 to 122.75. We can still support that, and Republicans actually supported it. Let's say no to an amendment for the need-based school breakfast program. That is the breakfast program, and then 58 to 42. And that's it. Took us about 11 weeks. All right, let's go over to tax reform, and then let's introduce our own tax reform. As an individual's income level increases, that individual's tax rates increases as well. So let's do 10% for first. Let's do 15% for the second. 25% for the third. 33% for the fourth. So after incomes above $91,000, it's going to increase. So 91,000 to 190,000, those income brackets are going to increase, including income brackets between 91,000 and 415,000. I'm going to do fifth for 37. And then sixth for 41. Standard tax deduction. Let's reduce by about $300. and then increase the personal exemption to $4,500. Corporate taxes, let's do 22.5, and then make up for some of that lost revenue by increasing the federal sales tax rate. Well, actually, we don't even have one, actually. Let's do, we don't even have to do 6%, we can do 2%. No, it's about $100 billion that I could actually get off of that, but I don't know. Too many taxes is too many taxes. Earn income tax credit. Let's put you at 3,000. And then the childless rates, let's do 500. Well, actually, hang on. Let's do 1,000. Actually, we could actually afford that. It's only a couple $100 million, I believe. No, that's a couple billion, actually. But I think I could actually make up that money. I just need to raise another like $50 billion right now to actually just kind of like be exactly where we were beforehand. I might actually, I mean, a sales tax could actually work. Let's do a 3% sales tax, and then if Congress wants to amend it, then I guess go ahead. That's about $61 billion, $2.061 billion, $1 trillion that I have. There, $420 billion being made off of the corporate revenue tax. Let's go ahead and introduce that bill. That's going to be Senate Bill 9, and very extensive, complicated tax reform, basically an actual full-on tax reform. Let's see what happens. We are actually on the Finance Committee. Actually, we'll come to my committee first. Tax reform. Look at all that. Look at all those changes in this tax reform. This legislation will produce a tax revenue of $2.45 trillion, an increase of approximately almost $50 billion, $49 billion. This is equivalent to increasing taxes by $239 per taxpayer, or expressed as a percentage, an increase of only 2%. My constituents do not want higher taxes. I oppose this legislation that I believe is bad for my country. I believe this legislation is bad for the country, therefore I will oppose this legislation. I know it's not proper to raise taxes, but sometimes it is necessary. This legislation now has my support. So Democrats are probably going to support it. Republicans are probably going to be against it. This guy is introducing an amendment. It decreases personal exemption from $4,500 to $4,250. Increases the corporate tax from 22.5 to 22.8. Decreases earned income tax rates credit for taxpayers with children from 3,000 to 200. And come on. Why there? Why there? Add it at 3,000 just to make things easier, but you want to make it more complicated and more mathy. Decreases earned income tax credit for taxpayers without children from $1,823, and then decreases the sales tax rate from 3% to 2.2%. I'm gonna oppose it. Wow, that actually did make a difference. Democrats really did not want that amendment. Theodore Dew, my boy Theodore Dew, wanted to change my tax reform, and he failed. All right, vote on the legislation of that tax reform, massive tax reform. If we actually get this passed, that is going to be awesome. Let's go ahead and support. Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for this to pass. Creates a national sales tax with a tax rate of 3%. Barely even passes. Barely. Literally all the Republicans actually opposed it. 13 Republicans opposed it, only 2 supported it. Who were those 2 Republicans? It was me. Cornelius Thorne was on our side, including my boy Theodore Dew. Let's go. See what happens in the House. Comes back to us? Did it come back to us from the House? increases. So all the taxes that I decreased, it's wanting to increase those. So basically what Theodore wanted to do, but it actually went through the House. I thought we had control over the House. That's the thing. Let's think about it. Let's think. Let's see what happens if I support it. Passes the Senate pretty comfortably. Okay, it went through committee. So now the Democratic skewered thing. Okay, decreases the first tax rate, doesn't touch the first, doesn't touch the second, doesn't touch the third. Wait, decreases. Okay, it touched the third, but after the fourth, it definitely is still going up. So first, second, and third are actually good, so that's good. Fourth goes from 30% to 33.10. Increases fifth from 36 to 37.10. The sixth bracket goes from 40% to 41.1. Decreases the standard deduction from $6,300 to $6,000. Increases personal exemption from $4,000 to $4,250. Decreases the corporate tax rate from 23% to 22.8%. I'm actually going to try to change that in a separate piece of legislation. Increases tax credit for taxpayers with children from $2,750 to $2,938. And then increases tax credit from taxpayers without children from $290 to $823. So that's a really good tax break for those who don't have children. And then the national tax rate goes to 2.2%. Let's go ahead and support. Senate has now passed in the bill has now passed in the Senate and will now be sent to the House of Representatives for hearings and a vote. Passes the House committee with a unanimous consent. All right, we got a tax reform passed throughout Congress. That is awesome. That is awesome. Your experience with political reputation has influenced the vote of 222 politicians and changed the vote of 157 politicians. And then Senate Bill 9 has received the concept report and has been approved with a vote of 432 to 3. Only 3 people in the House of Representatives actually oppose it. And then it comes back over to the House, to the Senate for a conference committee. So let's again check over this tax reform, see what happens. Decreases the first, still decreasing the first, still decreasing the second. Barely. I mean, see, that it's kind of disappointing that they're kind of like trying to cancel out all that lost revenue by increasing them. So it's not that much of an actual decrease in the actual tax rate. It's not even over a percentage of change. So this is the issue with actual tax reforms, is that usually they want to cut off all of these. I mean, it even touches the national sales tax rate again. Was 2.2%, now it's 1.95%. And they touch the tax credits again. Look at this. Increases the tax credit for taxpayers with children from $2,750 to $2,897. Increases the tax credit from taxpayers without children from $290 to $700. $706.50. Overall, he increased taxes by 2% due to the sales tax. Yeah, it was the sales tax that actually got the taxes to go up, because that was like about $50-60 billion that actually was coming from the sales tax, and that was just to pay for that tax decrease. So I literally just got an entire tax reform through to barely change anything. Look at that. The corporate tax rate, I tried to get it to 22.5%, and then now it only lowers by only 0.1%. I'm gonna see what happens if I get this if I get this tax code passed. I mean, I think I have the no. Your experience only influenced the vote of 14 politicians and changed the vote of 7 politicians. So I barely even had influence over it. That sucks. Breonna Hawk, President Breonna Hawk has signed your bill into law, so that tax reform now gets passed. I'm officially announcing my candidacy against PG. I won't raise your taxes. All right, George H.W. Bush. All right, what are we doing now? What's going on? Legislation. Huge tax reform got through. Look at all these. Senate Bill 9 was here. Hang on, how long was it here? Wow, it was in limbo. Let's look. Senate Bill 9 got introduced on week 12. No, week 11. Week 11 it got introduced, and then it just kept getting thrown back and forth between the House and Senate from week 11 all the way up until week 17. That's a long time. It's more than like 2 months that thing was just being thrown around between the House and the Senate. That's not healthy. It's not healthy at all. Defense appropriations, gonna ignore. Don't really have any interest in these. Let's go ahead and go to... Oh, I had something to pass, but I didn't see what it was. Let's go to the very end of the year. State Representative Victor Shuge will not seek re-election. If I run in this election, I have a good chance of winning. And then Governor Ford will not be seeking re-election due to reaching a term limit. If I run in this election, I have a very good chance of winning. So I actually have the opportunity to run for governor of Texas. So should I run for governor or should I stay in the federal government? I'm only a bill. I am only a bill and I get thrown around like Capitol Hill. I am only a bill and I'm sitting on the Senate floor, now the House floor, now the Senate floor, now the House floor. Ah! Alright, so I can stay in the Senate. Well, I mean, if I run, I still got 2 years in this term, so even if I lose the governorship election, then I'd still have a job. So nobody likes state government. I love state government. I love state government. Screw you. Screw you. I like state government. But staying in the Senate does make a lot of sense. There is a Class 3 Senate election happening, but Texas is not going to be a part of that. We are only Class 1 and Class 2. Senate, 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 don't you dare. Oh man, I love you guys. You guys are fun. Fundraise for my own campaign. Oh, okay, that's already being automated. Fundraising, so events, fundraising, and then a lot of room to put a lot of other stuff for events. That'd be fun. State government is great. Yes, it is. I love state government. Texas literally has a course in the 7th grade whenever you're going through middle school where you basically can run. No, not really run. It's like you learn Texas history. So state government has always been something that's really interesting to me, honestly. Let's go ahead and check over health coverage, see what's going on over here, see if what we can do to try and push for a possible Medicaid expansion. Federally, 56% of the United States is on private health insurance, 13% is on Medicaid, 16% is on Medicare. We got almost 2% that are actual military veterans, 6.4 million military veterans. Thank you for your service. No coverage. 40 million people have no health coverage in the United States. Ouch. That means about 10%. Almost 10%, more than 10%, yeah, 12.2% of the United States is not being covered by health insurance. Birth and death rate is getting really close. Look at that, 2.5%, 2.5 death rate, and then under 3%, 3.3 birth rate. Don't really know if it's going by percentage or what. Crime. Let's look at crime. See what's going on over here. Prisoners by category. Drug crime. Wow, look at that. Even if we, like, eliminated that federal sentencing, I guess. But people are still being thrown into jail through it because the federal thing, basically. There's certain things that federally, like, it ignores, but then other times it doesn't. Huh. In other news, apparently Derek Chauvin, the police officer facing murder charges in the wake of George Floyd's death, has actually posted $1 million bail. He I don't know where he got that money, but he apparently got $1 million to just get himself out of jail. Thoughts on that? What are you guys' thoughts on that? What do you think should happen to that guy? And let's look at economy. GDP per capita is still going up. Poverty. Wow, 15%. We really need to... It's probably going to be dealt with if we actually have control over the budget. State. Let's see what's going on with the state, actually. 56% Republican, 39% Democrat, 49% registered voters. Which I think you can register more voters by actually being... it's like the state committee where you're like the state chairperson, and basically you just like find anyone that you think can win and then just throw them in there and try to control like the entire state or even the country. So that's one way to do it. All right. And I guess let's go ahead and go to week 1 of 2022. Tax reform comes into effect, so we're going to see what that does over the course of this year. Unemployment insurance, actually, in Texas, this is state law. Unemployment insurance decreases benefits from $5,200 to $4,900. That gives us another reason to run for state. Let's actually check the state metrics. Overview. 72% government approval rating. Department effectiveness is actually going down. Infrastructure, it sucks. Crime kind of sucks. Healthcare kind of sucks, even though we can't do much over there. Taxation definitely sucks. We probably wouldn't make it any better because I'd be increasing taxes just to pay for better things. Poverty definitely sucks. Education's going up by about a point. And then economy, 60% approval with the economy. That is really bad. And poverty's actually gone up in the previous year. But overall government approval rating, let's see, it actually reached a low of 70, got up to a high of 73. So if I actually go for the state governorship, then I could actually... The thing is that I've been more into federal, and I wouldn't have that influence because I haven't run for any position in the state. So that's one thing. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it quits here. Guys, if you guys like this, go ahead and leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you guys want to see more political process, definitely hit that bell notification icon just so you can be notified whenever that happens. Join the Discord if you have not, and then I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care.